Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, a moral dilemma this morning, and this is serious. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people. Right now, it's a hypothetical, moral question, quandary, and I think it'll stay that way. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the supposed $5,000 stimulus refund check that's been proposed, that's been brought up, that's all of a sudden all over the news right now. There'll be some links down below. Let me tell you the way that I saw this starting. I believe this is the way it started. You can read the stories down below yourself, but it sounded like it started on X, as usual, the far right nut jobs on X, talking about how they believe that, they should start seeing refund checks. They're all hungry for this money from people being put out of work, not being able to feed their families, tens of thousands of government workers that are now going to be out of work and our safety in peril. But the people on the far right are hungry for this money. They want to be given back this money that their tax dollars. And Elon Musk commented on it, and he said he would bring it up to Trump, and then Trump has already commented on it. And down below there'll be a video where you could actually see Donald Trump talking about this. And this is the thing: Donald Trump lists all these. He says there's in his. I have such a hard time watching this guy because I just cannot stand his cadence, his vocabulary, the way he talks. I mean, it is painful for me to watch to listen to him speak. His jokes and all that just make me. It seriously makes me nauseous. But he's talking about how these hundreds and billions of dollars it's amazing to me how this has all been added up and figured out safely, how they could cut all this stuff out safely, and he's only been president for a month. I just to me it looks like they're slashing and burning everything in sight and just dismantling the government. And now they're proposing about giving us all back the money. And honestly, I don't see that happening. I think there's no way in hell I see that happening. Now, this is what Donald Trump said. He said he's thinking about giving 20% of these hundreds of billions in savings back to people, the taxpayers, in the form of a $5,000 refund check. Okay, and then he says 20% to pay down the national debt. Okay, that leaves 60%. Now, this is the big question that people like me are asking. What about the other 60%? Where's that going? It's obviously it wouldn't go back into the government, would it? They just took it out of the government by slashing the government. It wouldn't go to us. Who's left? Where would that 60% go to? We're talking tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. I think I got a good idea where that would go to. Like I said, and this is all hypothetical. I do not see this happening. This is what I see. So Trump is listing all these things supposedly that they slashed. Sex change operations in Ecuador, the Honduras. He says there was Sesame Street performances that were paid $20 million in Iraq. And then he made his little joke about you could just pay the performers $10,000 and give them a few bucks tip. So in his little joking way, he's talking about all these ridiculous ways that they save money. What I see is him cutting the FAA. I see him cutting the CDC, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that deals with climate change and weather. And what about the tens and thousands of people out of work and their families? What about their unemployment? Obviously they're going to have to get some kind of cash back, something to support them. This is blood money. If this happens, that's what I think. This is blood money. This is from taking thousands of Americans and putting them out of work and their families on the unemployment line. And these right-wing nut jobs on X just dying for that money, just to get that money in their little hands. Trump's telling them it's all about sex change operations and an overpayment for children's shows and all this other stuff. And he says there's other stuff that he can't mention because it's very embarrassing to people. I've seen this list myself, and I've heard that this list is just like, it's one of those lists that anybody could comment on and put numbers and things on. It's open to the public, that anybody could list these things on it. None of this is verified. Like I said, so I see people being put out of work, families, American families being put out of work. And then I started to think, too, wouldn't this pit Americans against each other? You're literally taking thousands of Americans and their families and cutting off their livelihood and putting them on the street. No food, no money. And then you got MAGA over here that want all the savings from that. This is pitting Americans against them. It's blood money. Now for the big question. If it were to happen, people like me, morally, I don't want this money. But, you'd have to be insane, if I was to get a government check, a check in the mail tomorrow for $5,000, what would I do with it? I can't sit here and tell you that I wouldn't take it. The first thing that comes to mind is the 20 plus years that I spent in active addiction, in hard opiate crack addiction. And I mean, I'm embarrassed about this, and I'm working on making amends for this for the last 18 years I've been in recovery. But I remember going to my family every single day for decades and hitting them up for $50, $100 every day. I mean, I owe them my life. So I thought about that. I thought about, if I were to get a check for $5,000, that it would be selfish of me to turn it down because of my political beliefs, my moral beliefs, political beliefs, really. When I could help or pay back people in my family, or I could pay it forward to recovery programs and other programs. I do not see myself spending it on myself. I don't, I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy by any means. I'm probably close to the poverty line, but I really don't need this money. I still have money in the bank from the stimulus checks we got 3-4 years ago. I survive. I hustle and I make ends meet. But, what would be the right thing to do? Could I turn down $5,000 if I got a check next month, theoretically? Which I like I said, I'll say it again, I do not see this ever happening. Because now I think there's people, even MAGA, that are asking, well, all this, billions of dollars in savings, where's the money's going? When are we going to get it back? And that's what happened on X. This right-wing nut job on X said, hey, why don't you send us the refunds? So this question's going to be coming up. If we're saving all this money theoretically, then where's our savings? And it's going to pit Americans against other Americans. Maybe that's what Donald Trump wants. What if he says this? What if he says only the people that voted for me? Because the people that voted for me voted for this slash and burn program of saving all this money, so they're the only ones entitled to this money. What if he did that? What if he said only Republicans are getting this amount? What if he said Republicans are getting this amount and everybody else is getting this amount? What if he looks at, they have access to all these government records. What if he says everybody that voted for me is getting $5,000? Everybody else is getting nothing. What if he says that? Is that out of the imagination? Is that not possible? Seeing what Donald Trump's doing so far in the last month, I think it's very possible. I would almost feel better if he did that. If he just took it off the table for me to get, because I didn't vote for him and I hate him. For me not to get the $5,000, because I wouldn't be forced with I wouldn't be stuck with the moral dilemma of, because like I said, I think I'm not just, blowing smoke up your asses. I would really feel selfish if I turned down this money. Not for me, but what I could do with it, or the money I could pay back that I owe people, that I owe my life to, my family. People that could use this money. People in my family did vote for Donald Trump. They deserve that money more than I do. Why not take that money and pay, and put it towards some good use? That's my thoughts. Or start a fund for the families and people that are going to be out of work that Donald Trump has fired. That's a great idea. That's a very great idea, because I don't know why nobody else is, but I'm concerned about the people that are getting fired and their families. They're Americans. They're hardworking Americans that went to work every day and did their job. And Donald Trump deemed their job DEI or whatever, and now they're out of work. I mean, they're just political pawns in this, and their families. What about their families? Their daughter going to school, their son in college or whatever. Do they deserve this? No, of course not. They're Americans just like you and me. They don't deserve to be out of work. We don't deserve to be getting their money, their paychecks in $5,000 refund checks. We don't deserve that, and they don't deserve that. It's wrong. Those are my thoughts on this for now. My initial thoughts. Let me know what you think. Have a good Thursday.